Yes, I almost became a femboy. Now the question is, why didn't I? I made a video like 2 months ago talking about this exact same topic, except I kind of realized that like a week ago I was really like vague posting throughout the entire video, so I wanted to make a new one, not exactly a part 2, more so just like clarifying on a bunch of things, maybe go into a bit more detail, and yeah, this is going to be like the definitive Gato Finglo femboy experience right here. Strap in. So yes, in my previous video I said that I almost became a femboy, and I implied that I didn't actually give in. Well, okay, spoiler alert, it's not exactly the full truth. I mean, in that video, like, I only scratched the surface of my experiences with femboys. I didn't really get super into it. Again, vague posting, right? I said that I interacted with lots of femboy content, but didn't really explain myself and what I meant by that. So yeah, I kind of just said, I didn't do it because of hypersexualization, and you know, that is partially true, but at the same time, there's like a bunch of other stuff. I mean, on one hand, you know, there's the hypersexualization, there's also my general self-image, and there's also a few other bits and pieces, some little fruity factoids, but you know, I'll get into that, don't worry. But I suppose I should give a little bit of context other than the fact that I already made a video about this. Hi, my name is Gato Finglo, I'm 21 years young, and sometimes I like to imagine myself dressing up as a girl because it makes me feel purty. I already made a video talking about my gender dysphoria, so I'm not really gonna try to bore you with that, or at least not bore you too much with that. If you want to watch the video, go watch it. It's called I Wish I Was a Girl, sorta, in parentheses, sorta, emphasis on sorta, even. But yes, though, you know, I've had problems coming to terms with the fact that I am a man, okay? I mean, look, there are parts of being a man that I definitely like, and then, you know, it makes me glad that I'm a guy, okay? But at the same time, you know, at the moment, I'm pretty skinny, okay? But I feel like I'd be a lot more happy being a guy if I were just like a little bit more muscular. Does that make sense? I mean, not like shredded or anything like that, just, you know, a little bit bigger. I'm underweight right now, so maybe that could potentially help me. I don't know. It's just like, sometimes though, I kind of wish I could be a girl just to like catch a break, you know? And I don't mean that in the traditional sense. I go into more detail in my actual video, but what I mean is like, sometimes I kind of find myself wishing I had a button that could just let me pick who I want to be depending on how I'm feeling that day, okay? I wish sometimes I could honestly just be both, okay? I mean, obviously that's just not possible without, you know, potential ridicule or generally feeling weird or something like that, but you get what I mean, okay? Really, I don't think I'm transgender. I mean, like, some days I just feel more feminine than others, so please take that with a grain of salt though, because, you know, I feel like I'm probably more leaning towards being a man, but like, you know, sometimes I still want some room to experiment, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of why the idea of being a femboy kind of, you know, jumped out to me. It was like, you can be a man, like, you can still enjoy being a guy, and then you can kind of just like decide if you feel like being a girl that day, in a sense or two, you know what I mean? Not literally. Now, in addition to that, to some degree, there was also an attraction aspect. Okay, yes, I do admit it, femboys can be really cute at times, okay? Like, you know, in a strictly platonic and straight way, of course. I wish I could explain this in a way that, like, makes sense, because I've tried to explain this to people before, but it just kind of comes off as like schizophrenic rambling. So I'm going to try to make it make sense, okay? The best way I can think to say this is, when I see a girl who's super cute, I kind of just think to myself, wow, okay? Now, femboys, it's more of a, whoa. All right, not in like a weird way, okay? I just feel like, you know, for some reason, femboys are just a lot more mesmerizing than girls are. And it's not because they're guys. It's not because I'm thinking about what's in their pants, okay? It's kind of hard to say exactly what it is about them. I mean, maybe I just like kind of find it impressive. Like, it's like the fact that like, dude, you are a man and you're managing to pull this off better than a lot of women that I've met. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's that, okay? Maybe it's potentially like the relatability aspect of it. Honestly, like, I kind of think that like femboys are like a really solid midpoint between guys and girls. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times they can vary between like a more feminine personality or a more masculine personality. And like, you know, you can generally feel comfortable talking to one knowing that they're a guy or something like that. You know what I mean? But also additionally, it could also just maybe be envy. You know, it's sort of like, man, I wish I could do that too. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, you know, like, I wish I could pull off that look too. And I mean, hey, nothing wrong with a guy trying to look cute from time at a time, am I right, fellas? Starting just a little over a year ago, like, a lot of these factors and everything were kind of just all attacking me all at once, and it made me kind of, you know, really want to be a femboy. It made me kind of want to get into it. And in my last femboy video that I made, I talked about how this was like mainly a thing for when I was younger or something like that, and it was kind of just a fleeting thought that kind of just was in the back of my head. Well, okay, it's just partially the truth. It never really did go away. It kind of just like came back in waves, if that makes sense. And it just so happens that a year ago, that was the most intense wave I had ever experienced in my life, okay? And to be honest, I was like completely obsessed with femboys. And I don't mean that in like the sexual sense, by the way. I mean that in a strictly like aesthetic way, you know what I mean? Or a sensual way or something like that. I just thought that they were really, really cool. I was very jealous in a way. I was envious, and I kind of wished I could get a slice of the pie. You feel me? I wish I could do what they did. And dude, on social media, like a lot of social media that I was using, my feed was completely filled to the brim with femboy stuff. Like, it was insane, okay? And then, you know, again, all right, look, hypersexualization was something I avoided, so, you know, this was definitely a little bit problematic because, you know, most femboy content is just, you know, that. Most of it is either the joke is sex, the joke is porn, or, you know, it's just like blatantly force fem content, and, you know, that stuff can be weird at times, okay? You know, whenever I'd watch, like, Instagram Reels with friends, you know, whenever I'd be streaming it to them or something, every other reel would just be something related to femboys, okay? And, you know, here I am scrolling through this crap, and I'd just be, like, liking them and liking them and liking them and liking them and hoping, you know, maybe they're not going to bat an eye, or they're going to think that it's funny or something, and I'm going to be able to play it off as a little gag, okay? But, you know, no, it started to raise a bit of suspicion, because, you know, eventually, after a good solid few weeks of me just, like, streaming reels to my friends, and, you know, liking all these femboy reels or whatever, he just kind of reaches out to me, and he asks via DMs, dude, are you a femboy? And, you know, I said no. I tried to deny it, or I tried to explain it in a way that I've kind of already tried to explain it here. Now, did he buy it? I don't really know, okay? He probably didn't. I don't, beats me, honestly, it's whatever, okay? But along with this whole obsession or whatever on social media, I also did try to change up a lot of my habits to go for that more, like, femboy-esque look. I feel like I could probably pull it off if I really, really, really tried, but it was just a lot of work for me, man. And also, like, I never really was, like, at that point where I could have just felt comfortable going all in, you know what I mean? I wanted to test the waters, you know, before I just bit the bullet and did it, you feel me? So a few of the habits that I tried to develop, I mean, number one, I tried shaving literally everywhere. I tried taking skincare a little more seriously, and I even tried to grow out my hair, like, a little bit. That didn't quite go as well as I had hoped. Now, for one, shaving on its own is a lot, dude. It's hard, especially as a man, okay? I had experimented with so many different, like, hair removal methods or whatever. I tried manual razors, electric razors, hair removal creams, dude, even epilators, okay? And if you don't know what an epilator is, imagine a little mechanical doohickey that, like, you put on your freaking skin, and then it, like, has, like, these teeth that, like, move at like 1,000,000 miles per hour, and they bite down onto your hairs and just yank them straight out of the follicles. It is heavenly, bro. If you're a masochist, give it a shot. But none of this stuff really, like, did anything for me, okay? Like, I tried so freaking hard. I did so much research to try to avoid all of my problems, like ingrown hairs, razor burn, or just, you know, needing to buy expensive products or whatever. But, you know, like, nothing really did the trick, okay? I mean, really, what was my only option? My only option, if I want to avoid all these things, would have just been laser hair removal. But even then, I mean, that's way too freaking pricey, and the average person just cannot afford that. And even then, you still gotta go back and go for checkups every now and then. There's never anything permanent, dude. There's never anything permanent. You can slow down the process of your hair growing back. You can shave it off. You can get it freaking, like, removed with a laser or something, but, you know, it's just gonna grow back eventually, okay? And you're gonna have to throw more money at it to keep it from doing all that. Now, coupled with all the other stuff I was trying to do to make myself happy about my appearance, I was just making myself miserable. I was making everything a living hell, and honestly, if I could go back and just not try to go all in with the femboy stuff, I totally would have, because it just would have been better off for me in the long run, okay? Eventually, it just got to the point where, you know, all of it felt pointless. It gets to a point, you feel me? It gets to a point. I decided to just slow down and try to prioritize my mental health. Okay, and I think that was an okay decision to make. All right, I didn't want to completely abandon it per se, but I told myself that I had plenty of time to revisit it. Okay, I just need time to focus on what I need to do to make myself happy right now. What can I do to keep myself from wanting to freaking blow my head off, okay? And so I went through the male canon events of giving myself a buzz cut and started going to the gym, okay? Every guy has been through this at this point, like, let's be honest. To be honest, it definitely did help me a little bit, whether it was just because it was distracting me or because it was making me feel a little bit more, I don't know, like masculine or whatever. And it was, a bit gender affirming for me, right? Buzzword alert. I kind of just told myself that, like, look, I can revisit this in the future, okay? Once I know for a fact that I'm ready. Because right now, I just, I feel kind of like, I feel kind of iffy about it, It's a nice thought, but I don't want to rush things or do something I'd regret. I don't want to completely mutilate my body. I don't want to do something that would make me feel bad about myself in the present. I need to focus on what I can do to keep my life moving forward, okay? And I think that's reasonable. Now, either way, it's best to take these things slow so I don't change too drastically, okay? And I think that's reasonable, Going into it, I rushed it. I was really just trying to think, I need to be like this now. And what did that do for me? It made me hate myself, and it made me feel really, really bad about the way that I looked, about the way that I acted, about the way that I dressed, so many different things. It made me feel so self-conscious about literally every single aspect about myself. And overall, it was not the prettiest picture, if I'm being entirely honest. Nowadays, I'm still not exactly sure if I want to follow through with it, or maybe just forget it, or, postpone it a little bit longer until, maybe I have my own house or something, so that way I don't have to worry about, let's just say someone walking in on me. That'd be problematic. Ooh, a problematic Diddy media detected. I mean, maybe that's a big reason why I haven't gone all in, you know what I mean? The last thing I'd want would be for me to be in my room wearing a freaking skirt and thigh highs just for someone to walk in and ask me what I'm doing, and then I gotta try to play it off or something. Like, that wouldn't freaking work, okay? It's called alt fashion, Mom. You wouldn't get it. But whatever, man. Hey, it's up in the air. I'll give it some thought, okay? But yeah, I don't know if I really have anything else I gotta mention. I probably left some stuff out, but hey, that's okay. Maybe I can make a part 3 one of these days if something ever happens or there's any sort of developments. We'll see what happens, okay? If I had to give one moral of the story or one key takeaway, I'd say, don't hate yourself if you can't meet up to imaginary standards, okay? Be yourself and do whatever you feel is necessary to make yourself happy now, in the present, okay? Emphasis on the present. It's not bad to have some sort of long-term goal, but take it slow, dude. Do not push yourself. And if you want to change, take it step by step. You don't want to rush into it like I did, because that's just going to make you hate yourself. It's going to make you want to die. It's going to make you want to do unspeakable things to yourself and probably others. And yeah, so overall, I'd say, if you want to make some sort of crazy change, you got to take it crazy slow. You feel me? Anywho, I would like to mention that I have a Discord server. If you want to join in, I would totally recommend it if you just want to hang out or chat or whatever. Also, take a look-see here. We got some fan art. Got to finger fan art alert. Yeah, it looks really nice. And last but not least, I would like to mention that I have a membership on my channel. There's a big join button. You can press it only if you want to. It's $5 a month. I'm not pressuring you. It is just, if you really want to show support, then you can. If you don't want to pay a subscription and you just want to give me like a little something, there is a button for that too. The super tip thing or something. Again, also, you don't need to do that if you don't want to. Just throwing it out there if you feel like it. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else that I need to add. So without further ado, I shall catch y'all in the next one. Bye! I thought the femboys were adorable.